world's largest trend forecasting service, doing trend forecasting since 1998. Largest, not in sheer number of a company, but largest in terms of the content we deliver, the kind of clients we have. So it's not just a number of, and the business number, it's more about the delivery. So on our portals, we are doing roughly around 600 to 700 reports across the segments we are catering to. And it's not only fashion, it's consumer tech, we have products from the beauty industry, we have products for the food and drink industry, we have products for the home interiors industry. But today the focus will only be denim, since we are the denim and jeans. So what we're going to do today is we're going to speak about 2024. So we picked up the season autumn winter, which on our website has been live since the past 2 years. The idea is to see where 2024 and what it has in store for denim as a product. So I have my notes over here. So it's going to be a little long presentation in case you're getting bored. You feel like yawning, please do. Don't worry. In case you like to click pictures, please do that. If you want me to pause, please raise hands. It's absolutely fine, but it's going to be all about trends. So we're going to just kick to it. So 2024, it's actually a key transition point of what we're witnessing right now for the entire fashion industry, not denim. There are climate adaptive clothing being spoken about, upskilling through metaverse is being spoken about, product care and repair ecosystems are being considered. So for 2024, the WGSN 6 big ideas are actually coming through an underlining thought that there will be 3 common themes which will drive any product development. It will be an awareness of our own interdependence as consumers. It will be a deeper understanding of community feeling. Now this can be accelerated due to COVID, due to the pandemic, but yes, now it's there. And obviously there is a mainstream rejection of what we used to consider as normal. So that has been the underlying theme for entire 2024. Now where does this go in terms of big ideas? So there are 6 big ideas which we speak about. So caretaking. Now there are people who are trying to prioritize well-being over work, and this is well said. Now it has to be documented in products as well. So it's time to create products that allow them to live their life in the most best balanced way. Fluid states. Now consumers' fluid states will see digital assets rising in importance. So online well-being and safety will also become non-negotiable priorities. Now this is obviously with the rise of the metaverse and how as brands, as manufacturers, as business owners, we can also encash on that entire theme. Now consumers and investors are also expecting major changes from businesses to address protopias, specifically the climate emergency, the environmental impact. We just had session on sustainability, we're talking about circular fashion. So this is the Gen Z we're talking about, the next customer which we're speaking about, not today's customer, not you and me. Maybe some of us are Gen Zs over here, most of us are not. But in the next 5 to 6 years, I was having a chat with you as well. So in the next 5 to 6 years, the people having the most disposable income to spend on brands will be the Gen Z. They're earning right now. They will have a much higher disposable income compared to millennials. And when I say disposable income, it's not in numbers, it is on the propensity, it's on their desire to spend. So they are willing to spend. Are we willing to invest in products which cater to that market, not the traditional ones? And there will be new voices in 2024. People are trying to find unity in diversity. So people-powered initiatives will shift the dynamic between brands and consumers. So just forget one size fits all. So 2024 will all be about democratizing, as we call it. So brands and consumers will reject normal and embrace personalized and inclusive designs that will cater to everyone. So what designers need to do? They need to break old codes. You need to start embracing newer collaborations where consumers will also actively participate. And brands will need to build some fun elements into their offerings, which is more energizing for the consumers to purchase. It's just not a product anymore. Now, when we look at from a key point in terms of investing in these kind of care economy, solutions in apparel and tech will focus on rest, well-being and recovery. So identify where you can add value. With resale marketing also continue to growing, focus on ongoing product care. There is a deep learning in this transition time for us as brands. So upskill your teams in designing for digital spaces. Avatars are already there. They will add more value to the fit solutions. So it's not rocket science that we need to have a fit solution for online business, but there is also a lot of future potential in after economy for brands to start using for even product creations. So brands need to challenge themselves. When brands challenge, that's the same transition will happen to manufacturers. So start putting nature at the forefront of design decisions to ensure that your actions are an investment into the national ecosystem. It's not look at a buzzword, it is there and we need to action it. So just make shift from an extractive to a regenerative mindset. Now with this background in terms of what to expect in 2024, how will denim as a segment evolve? What will be the colors, what kind of finishes, what kind of washes is what we're going to speak in the next few slides. So consumers are actually grappling through an ongoing economic, political, environmental crisis across the world. Not relevant to India, relevant to India, not relevant to the States, not relevant to the Europe, it's relevant everywhere. So the global color forecast aligns with these influences that will drive consumers as we head into 2024. So, and also will trickle down to 2025 some bit. So well-being, creativity, environment and technology will be the four biggest pillars when it comes to colors. So emotional understanding and empathy will be key consumer drivers, reflecting in all restorative shades on mindful pastels, which can obviously generate that sense. So consumers are gaining a broader understanding of environmental issues. So caring for the planet will become as important as caring for ourselves. So basis this, we're looking at colors which align with the long term and a more sustainable shades will be seen to rise with mid-tones and neutrals in play. So stimulation for freedom, for happiness is going to be hyper bright shades that will reflect the need for creativity, optimism and a desire to reignite with imagination. We'll also see a return of tinted darks, which will be inspired by space exploration and the metaverse travel opportunities, as there is an underground subculture to that. Now with this, the key palette will actually look like this. So these are 30 colors that will have the strongest relevance across denim categories. So pink is less of a focus this season for winter 24. The attention will be shifting to reds, oranges and yellows and mid earthy tones and energetic brights. There will be a broad spectrum of greens, so it's going to be one of the most important colors, which will be lifting the palette as well. And Cyberline will be continuing for the youth markets. Purple and blues will be up from the previous seasons, with tinted dark shades of Midnight Plum and Midnight Blue being used as primary and secondary brights. So the core palette for denim has a mix of both balancing neutral and warm mid-tones. So the color of the year for 24-25 will be Apricot Crush, which was digital lavender for 24 summer. For winters it will be Apricot Crush. So it's a highlight and has a broad commercial and gender inclusive appeal, relevant to the youth market as well. So classic shades of blue at either end of the spectrum will obviously end well and they will lend well to this entire palette of denim. But there will be a trans-seasonal neutrals with longevity such as circular gray, chalk and sepia. So that's an overall macro color analysis in the most briefest of possibilities. We can't obviously deep dive too much on color. But now coming to the directions. What will be the denim fabric wash and finish forecast? So those who are aware about WGSN, so at all levels when we work, we follow something which we call as a stepping approach. We're trying to track society, we're trying to track technology, environment, people, creativity, culture, social media shifts, a lot of elements to understand what we a consumer persona going into a particular year. It's important, does not change drastically, it is always a step-by-step approach, it is always growing, and there's a lot of subjectivity around this. But what it does essentially is, it gives us an entire wall to play around in terms of what colors will be relevant. But what themes will be relevant. So how we work is, we divide all our forecasts into three broad level stories. You can call them as macro themes, you can call them directions, you can call them whatever you may. But each of these themes are essentially not only for denim, they will remain the same even if you're looking at a beauty space, even if you look at a tech space, even if you look at a fashion non-denim space. The idea is the macro direction. So we'll start with the first one, which is interactions. Now there is an energy of activism which is driving this forecast trend. So there is a greater focus on circular systems, extreme crafted surfaces and lightweight fabrics that are perfect for adaptable and multiple use products. In a world that is obviously turning upside down, people are getting impatient. Your consumer is extremely impatient. So brand needs to act with a sense of urgency, and activism and empathy will be important to thrive in this landscape. So acknowledgement of the value of our individuality and a power of interconnectedness is very, very important. So product development, this will inspire designs that reapprise the past of new era. Myths, folklore and spiritual themes will be remixed for basic collections. So it will be driven through ethical collaborations, inclusive co-creations, as we spoke about carry culture. So craft will appear in a much more elevated context for this season. Patchwork principles will not only apply to textiles, but also to product constructions. So harder, speakier themes will also emerge as consumers reject complacency and lean towards direct action to drive change. So on a lighter side, there will be a need for flexible and problem-solving products and services. So functionality will become important. It has already been there in the past seasons, but it will become, and it will take its peak in this season. So the first concept is assemble threads. Now taking cues from texture and tougher denim, evolving from last season, organic, hairy texture. So this one is more cleaner, uniform looking, and focuses more on yarn-dyed stripes. So for fiber and yarn, whether it's got certified organic or recycled cotton-based blends, and even dead stock yarn will be important. So for construction finish, try using artisanal techniques to make decorative textures featuring loose wefts. As it's most commercial, this woven story features broken graduated stripes which are made via construction using vertical yarn dyes. So develop traditional weaves of 3x1 twills and build lightweight to midweight bases. Use colored wefts to form stripes on the underside of the indigo denim. So just to give you an example, check out Naked and Famous Denim from Japan, who have released a Japanese slab edge denim with a rainbow colored weft. So that's a very good inspiration to look at for this season. Woven on antique shuttle looms for a slubby low tension. This is an update to your indigos with subtle color details. The second story is about flexible fluidity. Now this is building from last season's trend which we spoke about Beyond Resort, which was more for a prepare wear story. So this is more functional with fluid fabrics with light paper textures, will work on this on-the-go lifestyles. So this actually is for providing multi-wear opportunities. So responsibly sourcing fibers is going to be very, very important. So GRS certified polyester or biodegradable friendly polyester fibers such as Cyclo will be important, as well as man-made cellulosics like Tencel will be an important story for this particular trend story. So for construction finish, start adding packable and modular design elements to lighter fabrics for flexibility and commuter-friendly multi-wear options. Plain weaves and dual construction are key. Achieve sheeny feels for the luxury element. And yes, again we are trying to promote man-made fibers over here or recycled polyesters. One such example is Renault. Now coming to the third one, which is extreme surfaces, this is another important story. Now this particular story is evolving and is driven by young artisans merging these upcycle techniques with craft and repair to create some highly worked and tactile surfaces. So look at handcraftedness, look at regional influences for this story. So again, it's going to be using, as it's much more on co-creation using regional effects, it will be more recycled. So start using recycled denim and fabric in combination with your absolutely certified cotton blends. Create decorative customization that emulates destroyed looks, which will be important over here. Sorry for this. Make a feature of aberrations by double facing them with contrast fabrics and safeguard them from further damage by ring fencing with colorful stitching for playful, expressive and all over the patterned effect. The next story under this is a retro luxury. So this is a 70s themes inspired story, relevance especially for menswear. So a gentle retro inspired geometric patterns will update this denim on denim look. So fiber and yarn obviously sourcing from traceable PCI GOTS certified cotton with a small percentage of biodegradable stretch will be important. So what this story is all about is developing all over patterns through construction. From denim jacquards to knits. Houndstooth checks will be important, zigzag patterns and repeat geometric designs to bring back that 70s vibe and 70s interiors feel. So recreate similar effects using traditional twill construction with laser patterns and digital prints. So this theme will go really work well for matching sets to create a statement look, not an airport look, but an all-over place statement look for matching sets, which has a lot more commercial appeal going into winter 24. Now dirty looking denim is making its big return now. It's merging the dusted tones of our Space Sahara story, which we did for last season. So this is a very wash revival inspired story with authentic vintage workwear being an inspiration. So trying to create a polluted look color and authentic worn-in effects using lower impact methods. So just to give an example, cone denim is actually achieving this natural dusty colored bases using botanical dyes from walnut hulls and indigo. So another example for this look is a Circle Book 3, which has teamed up with Officina using its aqualess ageless dyes using lower impact waterless compounds that can create an abraded effect on denim. So it looks aged. So this effect can also be achieved using low impact conventional dyes. So look at aged appeal treatments which can go to more fabric bases which are beyond denim as well. So yes, aged denim and dirty looking denim is going to be one of the biggest stories going into 24 winters. Now, denim aesthetics are being reshaped through this indigenous and non-Western identities. So there is going to be a spotlight on traditional craftsmanship and local artisan communities who create them. So we're looking at recycled denim and fabric remnants and combinations of cotton-based blends, obviously certified. So the idea is to create authentic and meaningful products, and for this you need to start looking at partnerships, not only as a mode of creating product but also as a mode of communication about the product story to the end consumer. So artisans and limited edition collections will actually do well, and you can command a good price on this because there is a consumer looking for this in winter 24. And this trend might even start trickling down now and even go into summer 25. Already is there. So just to give an example, Levi has partnered with Adish. He's an Israeli-Palestinian-owned brand on gender inclusive collection, which is featuring traditional Palestinian Tatri's hand embroidery and hand weaving techniques. So this is being created by a community of female artisans. So Levi is using this in US to promote the product and sell it as well. So another example is NKW from Nigeria. So they're preserving their traditional craft with curbing waste by upcycling denim and using West African weaving, beading, hand dyeing and embroidery to rework pieces. And that's a similar story which we anticipate to happen in India for the consumption and the domestic market as well. Local artisans, whether you look at North India or Southern India, through reworking of and upcycling and recycling of denim, it can be achieved. But this is going to be a very, very important story, and this goes across segments of men, women and kids as well. So this is one of the most prominent stories which will go across genders and across age groups. So circular fashion, circular basics. So this is again obviously coming through the circular economy thing. So the age of abundance is actually coming to an end. So the move obviously towards circular economy is going to be imperative. So this is again a collaborative collection which we anticipate to happen. So young brands and startups will be at the forefront of this one. So who actually are proposing radical solutions of approaching business and consumption. So obviously cellulosic fibers, fair trade cotton, tencel, hemp, recycled cotton will be important fabric directions over here. So in terms of construction and finish, start working towards adopting and expanding on tenets of circular design, and this should go beyond capsule ranges. You should start looking at innovative new brand identities for yourself, and that place circularity at the core. So just to give an example, Denim from Sweden, it's a denim startup that has been designed to shut down only living as long as it's 170-meter roll of dead stock denim fabric. So it will not extend the product life cycle beyond that roll. So there's a similar example is called Dala from London. So it's a size inclusive circular denim brand. So as a brand, they're challenging a circular design beyond basics with its durable and yet trend-led pieces. Now durability is important because these are going to be expensive to make. These will be price expensive and there will be a market for it. So the thought process, there will be no consumer for this collection is not there. There is a consumer for this collection It just has to be limited edition, has to go in line, because this is going to be becoming a mainstream trend in the next few seasons. So it's better to test it out right now and start small. So last story under this macro story is about irregular stripe patterns, and this is again is a trend which is being carried forward from last season, just in a little more updated version. So we're looking at striped and surface effects that mimic futuristic static, and we created you can create this using cross-hatch weaves and tonal color vertically yarn dyes. Start exploring constructions of twills, broken twills, jacquards, and dobbies and baits, which are ranging from 6 to 12 hours. So just to give an example over here, TC Denim's broken twill construction, the image is over there. It displays the highs and lows of fabric when the indigo is washed. So while more intense designs can be created through dyeing and jacquards. So start exploring shuttle loom and open net effects for a much more subtle approach while creating this fabric story. So this was the first macro theme. Now the second one goes beyond. It's about future terrains. Now this is another important story which has been ongoing. So this is trying to explore how denim will evolve as we face the end of resource abundance. So inspiring colors and yarns that are rooted in nature, as reflected in the palette I was showing you. So it has patterns that are inspired by lunar landscapes. So it's becoming increasingly clear that we are at the end of abundance, with the planet struggling to support demands for resources. So in the next few years, all industries, non-fashion as well, will be searching for alternatives. Whether it is regenerative crops that repair the planet, or lab-grown, space-mined resources that have a lighter impact on it. So as designers and consumers, we need to speculate about what our future terrains will look like. So either on Earth or out in space, as Musk says. So we will see the emergence of products and aesthetic that appear to have been excavated from ground or plucked from the cosmos. So look has to be otherworldly, encrusted or globy surfaces. So start using references of volcanic materials, lunar landscape, as well as products that have been stress tested in extreme environments. So we're looking at a lot of active travel inspired trends coming over here. So even skincare, radiation proofing, solar powered appliances will be important stories going into this design segment. So biophilic design will also have a bigger presence, but will shift away from the clean green aesthetics to become more associated and move towards more murky colors and swampy textures. So more people and businesses, as we spoke during the last 2 days, what I'm listening is a lot about sustainability. So as people and us as an industry is moving towards more sustainable solutions, self-care benefits. So we will see sleep and rest mode inform product development a lot more. So we'll also see a greater focus on zero waste surplus systems and designs that will embrace the complexity of true simplicity. So for example, like turning on the lights to see the stars kind of stories will be important. Now having said this, the future trains first story. Now the concept over here, Rootful, is about extreme tactile surfaces which are evolving from a deconstructed textured tougher story, which was there relevant last season. It was like just speaking up, but this season it's going to take us full force. It's a nature-inspired iteration that mimic moss, tree roots, and even grass characteristics. So we're looking at creating highly worked surfaces and distressing through laser etching using vertical destruction pattern, which are reminiscent of organic and tree roots stories. For a less extreme approach, you can start using laser micro patterns to create a softly brushed tactile finish on your denim. So giving an example, there is a brand called Junli from China. So what they're trying to do is they're engineering jacquards to create an illusion of distressed textures, effects. So these are a much more lower impact option. So even Paradox from France, they have moss-like surfaces on the denim, which were created by combining offcuts secured with various stitching techniques like Boro and Shashiko. The next one is Asian space. Now since this is future terrains, so there is a second space here which is dawning, which is there, which is already there, which we're witnessing. So our vision of the future evolves. We will strike a balance between the dichotomy of space exploration and earth preservation as human beings, as industries. Now what it has implication on denim in terms of mindset and what trends need to be created. So last season we did a story called Galactic Metals, which was very, very important. It was more metallic. So this one is taking inspiration from ancient aspects of space. So you need to explore jacquards to create a lunar-like landscape pattern as your fabric story for a finished story. It could be crackled as well and shattered for a high-low contrasting effect. Metallic finishes will continue in high shine coatings. You can start exploring lower impact coatings that allow patterns to emerge naturally with peel-off elements creating a eroded effect. At a much more commercial and end of the spectrum, acid washes will create a mottled look surfaces and will be a big hit in winter 24. The plant part. Now this is the color story powered by nature. So traditional dye techniques use Earth's natural botanical, food and mineral resources to create a much more sustainable solution for denim color. So alternative dye methods rooted in nature continue to gain wider industry adoption. So Asian botanical food and dye methods, just to give an example, seen at M-Blue, to mineral dyeing, which is becoming much more popular and needs to be used. So Rajvi from Pakistan, they collaborated with Near Chima to develop colors from natural soils, while Marita's Terra Denim is using clay minerals, replacing traditional meal-based modans of organic dyeing. So the dye process is also eliminating the need of washing processes. Again, this is a very, very environment-led theme, but it's going to be a very, very important story as well. So clay dyeing is suitable for ozone and laser treatment of denim. So this can only be done through certified fibers, and you need to source them as well. That gives you a low impact solution to creating the fabric and finished story for this particular segment of plant power. The next one is talking about, this is a more texture and pattern driven story. It's about finding the beauty in the process of nature. Decay from mold patterns to rust dyes and biodegradable denim. So we're looking at biostretch and biodegradable polyester like Cyclo to be as a requirement, creating this denim. So this is from a Space Sahara segment which we did last season. So we're trying to recreate, what we're suggesting is recreate some desert inspired tones and alternative dye solutions. So again, quoting an example from Pakistan, couple of mills have developed this natural rust effect from metals to create earthy tones and organic shapes. Japan, the brand's designer called Yuma Kano, who's producing one-of-a-kind pair of jeans featuring a woven rust pattern that uses rust metal plates. So it's all naturally done. So even Calyx Denim's new biodegradable denim called B210 is combining unique yarn technology with a special finishing process that is allowing the fabric to biodegrade in nature by more than 99%, but yeah, it takes 210 days. So this is a very unique technology that can be applied to fabrics containing synthetic fiber with any levels of elasticity and non-denim textiles as well. Now since future terrains is there, sci-fi futures and this dark dystopian theme is going to be driven by the ongoing poly crisis in films. So this is more of a streetwear story with a focus on protective and armor-like construction in terms of design. So play with this dystopian darks with acid and stone wash effects using organic enzyme bleach washes on light to mid weights with twill constructions. Add protective textural elements to this through engineered constructions from, its scale-like effect will be important to pleated and cushion panels and crinkle applications. So this story is relevant for the matching sets and the denim and denim look which we have spoken about earlier. So utilize on isolated areas including back pockets or shirt yokes for a little more commercial and design application from a product perspective, not fabric over here. Now, since as we mentioned at the start of this macro story, we are reaching the age of abundance. So there is an urgent emphasis is placed on adoption of alternative fibers, so grown through regenerative farming practices that will repair the earth. So we're looking at cotton, hemp, linen, banana, soy, pineapple, and rami, the natural fibers over here as natural blends. So these new cellulosic fibers emerge from these low impact solutions, which includes majorly pineapple and banana fibers. You can use a classic twill construction as well. So again, we have examples from both Pakistan and Bangladesh were doing it along with India. So what we're doing here is we're blending banana fibers into bases for its natural cooling and medicinal properties. With TC denim using pineapple fiber with its low density lightness and a much more lustrous finish. So just to give an example over here, there is a Singaporean startup called Next Evo. Just Google it out. So they've collaborated with Bershka from Spain on a denim set in 22% pineapple fiber with 78% cotton, and it has been adopted really well. So the idea is to just embrace this beauty of natural cotton color, cut down on dyeing as required earlier. So last season there was a story which was very, very important, very prominent, which we called internally as repair care. So this one, that same theme is now evolved into a much more softer and a more rustic story with an emphasis on handcrafted repair work and a grungy and eroded surface finish. So over here we're looking at, you should start piloting pre and post consumer textile to textile recycled yarns such as infinited fiber, refibra, circulose and spinova. So the idea is to start using responsible methods to create distressed textures and make decorative repair a feature on the final product. Again, use traditional 12-week constructions. Start experimenting with overwork, layered texture to give a handmade artisanal feel to the final garment, whether it's top wear or bottom wear. And reuse scraps of leftover and dead stock denim together with other fabric remnants to create this piece. You can start using traditional repair stitch techniques of Boro and Shashiko with industrial techniques and double raised waist strips and tears to reinforce repair, and that as a theme will be important. The last story under future terrains is a little more darker digital futuristic story. So Supernatural Bro takes its story through underground rave renaissance, which is more of a 2000s club kid solution and as a theme. So we need to recreate supernatural effects of construction and experiment with web threads in unusual neon shades that provide an eerie glow to the final product when exposed to light. So bases will be mid-weight twill constructions. Alternatively, you can play with overdyes in combination with laser treatments to create a Y2K influenced cyberpunk look as a theme. So the emphasis over here would be on bright greens. So just to give an example, at Fashion Art, velour denim twills were created using a flock technique made from recycled textile waste. Again, a lower impact solution for a hazy and a metallic shine on the final fabric. Now, third story is expanded imagination. So again, the vision behind this is that we're seeing a world that is being transformed by tech innovations, artificial intelligence is very much there, and with ChatGPT taking prominence, people writing essays on them, we've seen it all. So AI-powered creativity is going to be there. So expanded imagination sees denim reimagined via translucent effects, 3D surrealism, and transformative color applications. So over the coming years, AI will be embraced as a facilitator of new forms of creativity, and human imagination will be prized as a tool for only problem solving, innovating, and escapism. So the metaverse is also there. It's also going to make it easier for us to inhabit in our own interest-based space, making niche, which we consider niche right now, becoming a new normal in the next few years. So the result will be in products and aesthetics that are unique and times little uncanny. So whether it be physical items that look as sleek as digital renders, or digital humans who look and sound almost like real humans. So there will be no lines between the digital and the physical aspect of our lives. So we are expecting to see a much more futuristic and fluid forms as well as changeable finishes. So this duality of our digital and physical lives is inspiring this particular expanded imagination story. And the first concept under this is ghosted illusions from a product perspective. So last season there was a theme called surrealism which we did. Now this one is affecting and challenging and surprising to the eye will continue as a mainstream. So the focus will be on transparencies and fabrics with the lightness of touch. So what we need to do is we need to explore plain weaves, twills, jacquards and weights, Play with floating wefts in the wave to create a ghostly shadow, and you can use fabric manipulation to build onto this story. Use sheer as a base fabric for realistic denim prints or burnout techniques, such as those employed at Diesel for their Spring Summer 2023 eroded looks collection, which they did. Now, this story can also be interpreted in lightweight denims. And an example is indigo muslin. It has delicate transparency, which is marked as the lightest denim in the world. It has been created by Envoy Textiles in Bangladesh. Now, the second story for denim, fabric and wash, is transformative. Now, denim continues to use as a canvas for more creative experiments. It will continue to be at forefront of a lot of innovations. So there will be an artful effect, which will be an important story. So this is evolving from the graffiti sprays, which was an important story last season. Again, this is a much more streetwear inspired trend, so becoming more expressive, and saturated application with some handmade and customized feel will be important. So mid-weight twills and building layers of color to create a graduated look. To make patently impressions, just to give an example, Equus Lata in US, they use a powder pigment applied to melting ice. And of Sina's plus 39's Recrom tech turns clothing based on manufacturing straps into pigment powder driven dyed cotton wool, and the finish they have is exactly similar to what we're speaking about. So over here it's easier to work with artists to create capsule collections that can work directly onto the denim. So we have such collaboration happening in Australia, Sweden, where street artists are combining to create some niche collections for denim brands as well. So this is a story which can be applied onto the final product, not at the fiber stage, but on the final product as well. And that's the only story which does that. Now this story of tactile minimalism, it's more about creating a soft minimalistic aesthetic that is going to be expressed through subtle tactile fabrics. Focus will be on cellulose blends and natural properties. So create a subtle texture via slubby and nebby twill construction. Light to mid-weights again. Use undyed and unprocessed ecru based for bases for a lower impact approach to the environment, and play with contrasting color effects to create a speckled highlight as given in the pictures. Alternatively, you can also highlight the natural beauty with surface variations created from the loom. So just to give an example over here, and you can Google it out as well. So Loro Pianas from Italy. So they have this cashmere denim blend, which is 60% cotton and 40% cashmere, and is woven on a traditional shuttle loom, which has been created in Japan, a brand called Bingo. So this is their take on a slow craft approach, which is going to be an important story again. But yeah, this particular trend is a little more on the test stage for autumn winter 24. It will take mainstream in the next season. Now obviously supreme comfort meets prepare wear, as denim will get winterized, providing multi-use opportunities for your budget conscious consumers. I did hear during some of the sessions about money being a concern, whether there was a gentleman who asked a question, we talk about sustainability, whether people will spend money on it. So yes, there is a budget conscious consumer, they're not going anywhere. There will always be budget consciousness, so you'll have to create collections which cater to both. So these are consumers who are budget conscious not because of lack of money, they don't want to spend, or disposable income. They're looking at greater value for wear. So this particular story is focused on that consumer. So this is lightweight, linear paddings to continue. So start going beyond traditional diamond quilting with asymmetric styles and random offbeat quilting patterns. Quilting is going to be important over here. Alternatively, you can also use lightweight padding on classic denim silhouettes using twills. So it gives a puffy, unexpected volume. Looks more premium, but yes, can be for the budget conscious consumer as well. So just to give an example, activewear brand Perfect Moment, it's from US. They did a capsule with circular denim label DL 1961, again from US, that features comfort stretch tech. It's water resistant coatings, thermal fleece linings, or a collection that works from streets to the slopes. So it caters to the workwear kind of market as well. So we have seen something similar being developed by Rajvi in Pakistan. So it's a quilted jean and jacket set that features undyed ecru fabric. So the idea behind this story is to make your denim piece look a little more premium, but again, can be sold at a lower value because of the low cost to make this. Now with this, not so classic. Now whether you use natural or synthetic indigo dyes, rethink on how to produce the classic blue jean. You need to really rethink that. Lower impact dyes preserve the meaningful authenticity of denim while being kinder to the environment. So again, we're talking about responsibly sourced fabric. We're looking at certified cotton and hemp. So authentic themes will continue with deep indigos made with improved dyeing techniques. Again, classic twills. So in one of our responsible denim color reports, we spoke about traceable plant dye-based dye company called Stony Creeks that is producing a pre-reduced natural indigo that uses electricity and water instead of chemicals as the reducing agent. So this one is actually not a design story per se, but this is a story which is more talking about how you can sell your classic denim with a little more environment-friendly approach. So again, we have been quoting a lot of things from South Asia, in particular Pakistan, in terms of denim. So Crescent Bahman, again, it's a vertical denim mill out of Pakistan, if you haven't heard about this. So they have created this blue infinity dye that creates blue without indigo. They use a technology to create washed-on effects beyond what can be achieved using a standard indigo. So they're trying to eliminate indigo to even create a blue dyeing technique. So they call it Blue Infinity, just Google it out. And it's being really well adopted both in Europe and the Americas. Now, since we're talking about more futuristic, much more tech and all, so this surrealist themes continue to build into this winter 24-25 collection. So this is driven by a creative reaction to the poly crisis of the 2020s as designers continue to play with off-kilter looks. So last season we had the similar story which was moving from 2D effects into this 3D iterations with an emphasis on fabric manipulations. So you can use classic construction of twills and mid-weights for this feel. Twisted, gathered and wavy construction will lend dramatic and unexpected structure to the overall garment. With designers reworking iconic denim pieces into humorous and a little more unexpected way. So this is going to be a crazy story for the season and the only crazy story we see in winter 24-25. But yes, start using creative AI programs to collaborate and generate something which is not possible from a human creative mindset, is what the story is all about. Now last season we spoke about the gentlemanish story, the tailored story in denim. So this one, material mix story, will continue to grow and business casual trends will be powering this particular trend. So the need for a smarter denim look at a traditional office attire is going to see a lot of evolvement. So fabric blocking, splicing will continue. Mixing denim in mid to heavyweight twills with a little more warmer, durable fabrics, such as wool mixes for winter, would be very, very good. So you can start exploring micro patterns such as houndstooth in jacquards and dobby weaves to lend a suiting element to your denim style. So again, there is a smart enough trend which is we've spoken about. So alternatively, you can also elevate spliced denim patchwork and give it a little more smarter edge by utilizing raw and minimally washed denim. But this is more for a casual office approach to denim, going beyond just a denim shirt and a denim bottom. Now what about action points? So these were three, a lot of things. Obviously this is the cut down version of the kind of content we can do. What we essentially have here is just few action points for you to take away. So start reusing fabric scrape and offcuts and build them into decorative surfaces with a more of a handmade feel. This is the interaction, the first macro theme. So approach fabric destruction responsibly. Create authentic, meaningful products with a focus on craft. And for this, you can partner with local artisans who are specializing in these techniques, promote them as a means of communication and selling that story to the consumer. Again, for the budget-conscious consumer, continue to seek out products that offer more value per wear, support circular economy by creating multi-use items, and offer greater durability and longevity. So again, over here, explore lightweight and functional fabrics as packable on-the-go solution, more for a commuter-driven lifestyle. So 2000 themes will be important. So this Y2K wash and construction trends will be important for this segment. And last obviously is to embrace circular systems as urgently as possible. So this should be a core business standard going forward into the next season. For future terrains, invest in new cellulosic fibers, low impact alternatives. As I mentioned, use soy, hemp, banana, pineapple, and invest in suppliers that support natural ecosystems. Biodegradable options are obviously there, so there are multiple option stories available. Start exploring them. Encourage wear and repair mindset into your business, into designers' mindset, and across the entire value chain. Explore botanical, mineral, and food waste dyes as an important color story as well. As being done by mainstream manufacturers in Bangladesh and Pakistan and India, this is the story which we anticipate to grow in terms of numbers and give you the maximum numbers going into winter 24. And from expanded imagination, which is a more AI and metaverse-driven theme. So themes will be that denim design is going to be pushed and driven by directional brands. So the focus should be on the main character energy of creating a fabric which talks innovation, which screams innovation. Switch to innovative solutions, preserve the authenticity of denim while focusing on its sustainable targets. So Blue Denims is going to be there. If you can find alternative solutions, speak about them, you're there for the win. So obviously artistic expression is going to be an important story both in terms of the denim finish as well as the final product you're creating. So start exploring graffiti patterns, patently approaches to this story. And alternately, you can collaborate and make it easier for you with local brands, more startups, local artists, and you can invite them to directly invest and work on the final product canvas is going to be one of the most important stories. And it goes with an overall macro theme which we are speaking about is about do it yourself and do it your way. And that's a very, very important theme going across product categories. So just to give an example over here, this is for the last point, when the reason we are saying collaborate with local artists and create pieces which can be co-created by the consumer at their level is there that even beauty brands are going to be coming with products where the products mixes can be created by the consumer themselves based on the skin types. It's going to be very, very easy to do. Just give them small bottles, use mixers, give them a manual to follow, and they'll create the products as per their skin types on what the skin cream they want to use. And those are the things which you are anticipating will derive the consumer to expect from even the fashion industries. With this, we thank you for your time over here. Hope it was inspiring, and in case you have any questions, happy to answer them or at the booth.